Hi, very good evening, my young friends. How are you doing? Hi, Devang. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Hi
Can you
Vasu, I
listen?
can hear you. Yes, thanks for
Wonderful,
inviting me.
wonderful. I'll just wait for a quick moment to hear from my team if the audio video is all good. If the audio video is all good, then I think we can all go live.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, wonderful. So I think I have a go ahead. So very good evening, Devang, and very warm welcome. And thanks to all the wonderful people who have shown a lot of interest to come and be a part of this very exciting webinar. And promise that it's going to be very different, and it's all about you. One thing I can promise, you would have seen and heard and participated in a lot of webinars where somebody would come and talk a lot about themselves and talk about their experiences. Here, whatever we're going to do in the next hour or so is all going to be coming back to you, your career, your aspirations, your dreams, and so on and so forth. So, very excited to have Devang with us today. And as some of you would already know, Devang is a very enthusiastic knowledge sharer. That's how I would introduce him to you as first. Welcome, Devang.
Thanks Vasu, thanks a lot. A very good evening to all of you and thanks for all who are joining and watching here and our YouTube audience as well. It feels really good to be a part of here and I think Vasu has really hyped me up. It's going to be really wonderful. So I'm
Oh,
kind of a
I'm
nervous.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, Devang, the audience is going to be absolutely be thrilled about how they're going to spend the time with you in the next hour or so. So,
Sure.
for the benefit of the audience, this is what I'm going to share with you. So, what we're going to do today is all about you, as I said. And when I say all about you, what does it mean? It means two things. It means that when you walk away from the session today, it should all help you take the right decisions and help you make the right decisions about you joining your dream companies. So today is all about how to get into this top tier product companies at great salaries and all that. But to do that, it needs two things. One is that we want really you people to be really paying attention to this session, because a lot of wise wisdoms, the gold nuggets as we call it, will be shared with you. And the second thing is, this is, as we said, an interactive webinar. So how does it make you be a very inclusive person in this webinar is that you can keep posting a lot of questions. We have an entire section at the end of the webinar today where it is all about you and you asking questions, and Devang and me trying to uh, give you as many answers as we can to the best of our knowledge. If we know, we're going to give you and share our perspective. If we don't, we'll definitely come back to you or an email. All right, let's do the
Yep.
intro first. When I say the intro here, and as I said that it's an intro just not about this program, but intro about a peep into Devang's mind. So, and the reason I want to start this session, as I said, it's going to be very different. You're all asking, sir, just tell me what are the four questions which Google will ask, Facebook will ask. We'll come there. We're just coming there. But we're going to start here with a peep into Devang's mind. And the reason I say so is that Devang's had a very interesting schooling and college. And there are a lot of experiences which has made him what he is today. To be working in one of the top fortune companies in the world as a software programmer. So let's get into and peep into Devang's mind, and we'll start with the very beginning, Devang. So when I start with the beginning, I want to know, Devang, tell us something about your schooling. What little I know is that you are from an army background, so it's something which you and
Yep.
I share. We've been all over India because of our parents, father being transferred to different places. Let's start
Yep.
at your schooling. Tell us a little bit about your schooling, and then we'll go to your college and so on and so forth.
So I have been to a lot of schools. Well, credits to my army background. So I get a chance to visit across all the country, all the major schools. So I've been part of it. I've studied with Kendriya Vidyalaya, I studied with APS, Army Public Schools. I was part of Sainik schools as well. So that has been a very hell of a ride in my school life. And in one way, if you see, it will be very good as well because I have inclusion with. So it's not like I was limited to North India. I had the taste of South India as well. I equally love chole bhature as much I love the South Indian dosa as well. So I have the equal taste of the entire conclusivity of Indian diversity that I have seen in my school life. But if you ask me honestly, I was a very different person in school if I see mine now, right? I was very kind of a shy person. I was not very verbose. I was not very interactive. I was very good at academics. I scored really good marks in academics. That's one thing I can sure of. I was among the top two rank holders in my school in all the classes from 6 to 12. Not before that. I don't remember rank actually before that. But 6 to 12, I was always in the 2, 3 or top one in the colleges. But yeah, as I see the personality wise, I was not that much. I was a kind of a very shy, kind of a reserved person. Yeah, one thing I was very active was in taking parts in these sports. So there is something called Bharat Scout and Guides, if you know about scouting and guiding, right? So I was a very active participant there. So I started in class 6, and by reaching up to class 12, I completed 7 years in scouting and got the highest medal that is there, which is the President Award. So yeah, that is the highest award which can be awarded at the school level. So at that time,
Wonderful.
Dr. Pranab Mukherjee, late Dr.
Wow.
Pranab Mukherjee, was the president of it, and I got the honor to be received prize from it. So from our school at that time, only four students who were actually enrolled, they got the Bharat prize, and I was one of them to get the president award. That's one of the achievement that I am proud of. Apart from that, in education terms, yeah, that you can count as an achievement. Yeah, one thing if I could improve in my school life is like talk to be more verbose. Like if you honestly tell you, like I when a teacher sees me like okay, he is something there now, he has become something good in his life. He's called as a chief guest in the college, he's called chief guest on the YouTube session. They ask me, that's good, but who were you actually? So they don't even remember me who I was. So I was so kind of a reserved person that they actually didn't know. That was my schooling life in short.
Okay. Wonderful. The natural question comes to anybody's mind is somebody who's been across all over India because of the transferable job which your father had. You've been in
Yeah.
different schools. Uh, what was the transition? So one of the most important decisions anybody makes is around the 10th and 12th,
Yeah.
especially the 12th. What next? So tell us a little bit about your decision making process. What did you think about what you wanted to do after your 12th, and where did you end up?
Okay. I was very clear with what I want to do, but it didn't turn out to be, to be very honest. So I'd say I was 8 or 9 years old. Since then, I have decided that I will be joining the army. That was my first goal, and that was my childhood dream to join the army. And I was very clear on it. It's not like I was not aware of the other options like civil services or software engineering. I was aware of it, but I didn't want to go deeper because I was so much focused. I was so much narrow-minded to go for there. Like I don't want to know what else options are there. I don't even want to figure out. I was so much determined for it. So after passing plus two, I gave my ND exam and I got cleared it. Then I was called for the SSB interview. In my first attempt, I was conference out. So that was kind of that was my first rejection in life actually. Because before that, I have never seen a rejection in my school life ever. Whatever contest I was part of, I won it or I got a good rank. If I don't won it, I was on second or third. Exams wise, I was good. So I have not seen rejection. But that was the first rejection that I faced in my life. That was back in 2015, and that has actually changed me a lot. So I told you, right? I in school I was very shy and timid guy, and that rejection has actually completely vice versa changed my personality. Now I become kind of that. I won't say alpha male, but yeah, you can say kind of that personality that has grown into me. A kind of exact opposite algorithm, like where you can actually talk to people and convince with your logical reasoning and communication skills. I became more verbose. I became more confident, and with the span of time, the first rejection was the biggest. I would say if I look back at that time, it hurts the most. But if I look back at this moment, yeah, in 2015, that was the best moment of my life, and I'm thankful that I got rejected in first attempt. There was so much to learn. There was so much to then have done, and in second attempt, I got recommended, and that was clear that I will be joining the Indian Army as part of the National Defense Academy course. So NDA is in Pune, Khanakvasla, which is formed the base of here. After plus two, you go there, and then it's IMA, Indian Military Academy. And so I was very clear with my path. I have to join the Para Special Forces, and I'll be one of the officers in Para Special Forces. I was so clear. I've also written the name of the regiment that I want to join,
Wow.
either the one para SF or the 10 para SF. I was so crystal clear in my mind. But sometimes you say like the one thing that you always wanted to happen is often the best things that never happen, right?
Very
So
well said.
somehow it turned true in my case. So after getting recommended, I was all India rank four. To be just to remind you, and I think there were 3 lakh or 3.5 lakh. I'm not the numbers, but the exact numbers who gave the exams for NDA. So I was already ranked four in it. My exam was good, my interview was good, everything was well. But in medicals, I was rejected because at that time I used to wear spectacles. And for NDA course, this was limitations for either you are joining the Army, Navy, or the Air Force. For Air Force, you cannot have spectacles, as a matter of fact. But in terms of Army and Navy, we have some leniency. So
Correct.
even for that NDA course, the
Even for
leniency should,
Army, Navy, or the Air Force. For Air
yeah, that actually crossed it. So I was declared medically unfit in that case, so I couldn't join the army at that time. And then the other option that I had is I have to do the graduation. There is no other option because if you are not able to join for the NDA, right, the next entry is only after graduation. There is no other entry. Or if plus two, after plus two, if your entries are over, you can only join after the graduation, right? So now that was the decision making time. I was not
Wonderful.
from a software engineering background. I had no idea about software engineering. How does it work? What is production? What is deployment? These words were like, what should I say? These words were like something I have never heard about, never thought about. I don't even know what's the sense of it. That being said, I just decided I took advice from my sister. My sister is a BTech engineer as well. So the same college that I passed out from, she was also an alumni of that college. So after discussing with her, I decided to go. Okay, I have an interest in problem solving. So let's go for the engineering because engineering looks like real life problem solving to me. So that is the reason I made a decision. I will go for engineering, and my interest
Wonderful.
lies in computer science. So at that time, I chose computer science only because of the interest. And to be very honest, I took the feedback. People say, okay, there more scope is there. And to be honest, at that time, I didn't even know what is the meaning of scope. People say there is more scope in computer science. I don't even know what is scope. But that being said, if I go to the wealth, I decided to go with the computer science, and that's how the decision making came into progress.
Wonderful, wonderful. So my friends, that's an intro into Devang's childhood and college. And the reason, and while some of you are very impatient and asking, let's get to the topic, get me into a product company or a services company, especially product
Yes.
companies are great. The reason we spent the foundation on this topic is very, very important. If you see what Devang was telling about is a lot of experiences is what has made him what he is today. It's just not his academic score or just not his aspirations and his failures. But every time things happened and the way Devan looked at life and then moved forward is something which has made him today. So now this brings us to the topic, and Devan, we are getting a lot of questions from the students. We are collating them. The team and I are collating. But let's start with as we warm up into the Q&A section. One of
Yeah.
the first things which people want to know is that you've done your engineering and you got into and you attempted a lot of interviews and so on and so forth, and
Yeah.
got into a company where you currently work. So before we get there, can you very briefly tell us what's this whole hype which people have, if it's a hype or it's a reality, all
Mhm.
about these product based companies, and why should people aspire? So what's this product and services all about?
Okay. First of all, before answering this question, I would like to clear one thing to all the students who are watching and to everybody watching it. There is no difference like is product company better than a service company or is service company better than a product company? Definitely no. There is no comparison. You cannot compare apple with oranges, right? They both are serving in their own domains. Product companies are responsible to product enterprises. It can be depending upon a one-to-one vendor customer. It can be a large enterprise depending upon the scale of the organization. In services companies, you can be serving to any of the organization. It can be the army, it can be the government, it can be services, right? So there's a big difference, and I cannot compare like this company is better or that company is better. I believe that all organizations are good, be it they are in product sector, be it in the service sector. Some are organizations which provides both products and services, right? They provide consultancy as well, they provide software products as well. So I believe all organizations are really good, and comparing based upon products and services is not the right thing. But yeah, talking about the hype we have in terms of products. See, every organization, when it hires for a certain specific skill set that they are looking for, right? Every role you go for, every profession you go for, it requires certain kind of a skill set for you to solve.
Sure.
If you're solving at a product level company, if I just give an example of it, if solving at a product based company, the reason they have a stringent process or a tough process as compared to a service based company is that the margin of error is very less. You
Mhm.
cannot even imagine margin of error, and the reason for that is the scale that you are dealing with. It's enormous. If I take an example of where I'm working, we are working at a TPM of 1 million. 1 million. It means 1 million requests are coming per minute. If you solve it down, it will come out to 40 to 50,000 requests per second. That's a very big number. And when you're dealing with that number, even if you make one minor change, it's actually going to bring down your business by a lot of impact. It's going to have a lot of impact on your revenue. So the margin of error is very less in compare of product-based companies as compared to the service-based company. That's the one thing. Second thing is that, as I said, every profession requires a particular skill set. At product-based companies, we are highly looking for the problem solvers. In a service-based companies, they are more looking for people who are ready to get the work done. There's a big difference between problem solver and getting the work done. Because in a service-based company, you can be trained, right? You are trainable, you can be trained, and then you can get the work done based upon the requirements. But in a product-based company, you are supposed to be accountable from day one. And it's not like you will not get a training or you will not get some of the support. No, nothing like that. Everybody is there to support you. But it is expected that when you join a product-based company, some kind of accountability will be there and it will grow as will you progress in your career. So that accountability is expected from you since day one. So you have to perform at that level. Even if you're working on a small feature or a small model, you have to be accountable that I will complete it, I will push it to deploy, and I will make sure every documentation is carried out. So complete software development life cycle is compared a bit. So that is the second thing that we aspire in a product-based company. And third is that the kind of opportunities you get, that's one thing I believe. The kind of opportunities you get is really, really good in the product-based company as compared to the service-based company. Because the kind of product that you are leading, the project that you're leading, the team you are part of, and the initiatives that you're driving, it gives you a lot of exposure with multiple clients, right? You go to chance with, for example, if I talk about I've been working with US-based companies or the Singapore-based companies and have multiple teams across the organizations, right? Across the geolocations. So that will give an advantage to have a conclusive culture, an inclusive culture that will help you to grow up in your career ladder. That's the third thing. And last but not the least, that I personally prefer, and I will not be talking about salaries this or salaries that, because honestly, I will never compare or I will never recommend anybody to compare two organizations based upon salary. Because at maybe at young age, you will feel like, okay, this is X LPA, this is Y LPA, Y is greater than X, I will choose Y. But trust me, 3 years down the line, 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, one day you will realize that was the worst decision of your life. You will realize it. Ask
Yes.
to a senior person, ask to somebody who has seen that thing, they will tell you honestly from their experience. So I will not compare the salary aspect. It's up to the choice of the viewer, whatever they want to judge.
And
But
you such a you raise such an important point, and especially I would like to share with a lot of young people. So Anik, we all started Edyst, and I have put in a lot of corporate experience. So the such wonderfully said that the first few years of anybody's life is to make the resume extremely valuable and solid.
yeah,
Because if we are taking decisions based on salary, then it's a very short term view. Versus if somebody is really building a solid resume with good competencies, good skills, good domain knowledge, and so on and so forth, it compounds, right? The compounding
yes,
effect of how your salary
yes,
comes. So,
yes,
Devang, very quickly, one of the questions we've had is that you did your engineering, and
yeah,
then it's all about you are very focusing that I want to join companies where I can apply myself, whether it's problem solving skills and so on and so forth. Tell us
yeah.
a little bit about that journey. How did you start? How did you go about the journey? And
Okay.
then if you can actually show us what kind of questions do these companies ask, and you can share a little bit about what is this product. That's what the people are all getting impatient about. Tell us about what kind of questions do these product companies ask, how did you prepare, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So very quickly, your journey in your college, and just how did the transition happen from college to corporate.
Okay. I will try to keep it short. And as you have said, it's not the failures that it made me, it's the kind of experience that I have gained through my life actually made where I am today. So I will just cover it. So it all started from first semester. So I joined engineering with a hype, okay, I will be problem solver here. But as soon as I joined engineering, all of these hopes were gone. Because when I joined engineering, this is the first thing that I was doing is I was seeing the assignments, I was making the assignments, and it was not theoretical based learning. And I don't blame any professor or any college for it, because if you see all across India, this is the same condition everywhere. To take
Correct.
example of tier one colleges to example of tier three colleges, the curriculum is same, and that is something we need to change. So that actually hit me hard. So after joining the college, I still felt like I'm still in the school because that's the same thing I've been doing at school. You know, preparing for the exam, giving the exams, It's just that practicals are very dear and things like that. So to be honest, एक होता है ना दिल से मजा नहीं आ रहा है. So I was not getting that vibe out of me. Yeah, I'm not enjoying it. Let's figure something out. So to figure something out, that was my curiosity at that time, or you can say maybe it was the destiny, or maybe it was a karma, or whatever. That's something intrigued out of me, and I created my profile on multiple platforms, including LinkedIn, Internshala, and multiple websites like Indeed and all, Naukri.com and everything. So I created my website on these 4 or 5, whatever the common websites. I googled it and I just created my profile on it, and I started applying for internships. In my second semester itself, my second semester was not started that, and I got an internship offer. So that was my first internship, and that was for a web developer, and that was for Namaskar with Love Foundation. So that was an NGO that I was working for, and that is where my corporate journey actually started. I learned a lot, and I understood that various domains. I understood what is software engineering, what is the role of a project manager, what is the role of a product manager, what is marketing, how sales work, how HR works. Everything I got a brief idea about it. Not very in depth, but a brief idea about it. That was the first step. Second step that I chose is I decided, okay, I have done just first internship. I am not at the place where I can make a decision like this is the domain I want to excel into. Because that's my first internship, right? It's like you got a taste of something and you want to taste more. You want to know what are the other features, what are the other features. Because I told you I was very curious about things. And I was not afraid of anything. Like, okay, I have seen people who apply at internship, they're like, oh, mera hoga, nahi hoga, will I get selected or not selected? That fear was never there in me. I was very calm, I was very composed, like hoga, hoga, nahi hoga, nahi hoga. See, I cannot change the decision, right? What I can do is I can give my best. That's it. And that has been my approach till now, and I prefer to keep it till now. Because if you're so worried about the result, you will not be making an impact, right? Second internship I did was in project management, which was entirely different from software engineering.
Sure.
And that actually gave me an advantage because now I know, okay, this is how you talk to a client, this is how a project manager works, and this is how the requirements are given to a software engineer, how a software engineer comes back to project manager. So now
Correct.
I'm connecting the dots. Are you getting it?
Right.
Initially, I was fixed to one domain, and now I was able to connect the dots. Okay, here comes the client, here come the software engineers, and project managers are the bridge. Project or product manager, depending upon the organization. Right, that thing I got. Next, I did in content development. I have done in marketing specialist. I worked as community manager. Long story short, at the end of the fourth year, I completed my ninth internship. At the end of my fourth year, when I was about to graduate, I
You
completed.
actually have had exposure experience of working in 9 different places by the time you finished engineering.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
yes.
almost like you were doing a parallel track along with your engineering, while the
Yeah.
academics and sports were very, very important. You are trying to build your resume, which is all about real life.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. And please don't mention it anywhere, but my college percentage was 12% only. I rarely went to the college, but I was so exploring out myself that
God.
I was really loving it. Instead of going to college, I prefer to learn something, right?
Fair enough.
And not just limited there. I was part of some of the societies that we created in college to improve the coding there. It's all about the culture. See, education system you cannot change in a day. You agree, right? As a student, you
Correct.
cannot change the education system in a day. But what you can do is, as part of a community, you can take 5 or 6 friends of you, start a college society, and start doing coding. If even one of you is good at coding, he can teach at least 10 to 12. They 10 can teach 100. They 100 can teach 1,000. So on and so on. And since then, your entire college placement graph will go up. So that was some feeling in it. I was fortunate to have some friends who were really good at coding, and we had some really good groups. So that was also one additional feedback that I have got, and that was an advantage to me. And
Wonderful.
after completing my graduation, at that time I had 25 offers in my hand, out of which 22 job offers were in India and 3 offers were outside. So out of these two were in Singapore and one was in US. So these
It's
25 offers.
insane, right? In fact, it's a good problem to have, is what you will be thinking. What do I choose? When the problem of plenty, as we call it, you had more offers, and really, it's commendable, and I'm sure it's your intent to continually challenge yourself. If I could crack this
Yep.
company, can I crack the other one?
Yep.
That's going to be
Yep.
more and more difficult. So I think the competitive spirit and the competition is with yourself, not with
Yep.
others,
Yep.
is what got you there. And my friends, this absolutely lends into to our absolute the topic for the day, is all about what is it that gets people into these fantastic product companies. A lot of people are asking, what is this FAANG, and what is it that is so different that these companies seek out of you? And what does it take for you to prepare for these companies? So let's talk about this, and we're going to talk about these things in the context of your career. So it's not just academic in nature. There is a certain way, there is a certain approach, and at Edyst, that's what we help people do.
Yes.
But we would like to hear from your side, Devang, that can you please tell us what is this that these companies, these product-based companies, seek in a person? That's what the people are all here for. They want to somebody who's saying that is asking. Now we understood that a lot of sincerity, a lot of hard work is required, but where do we put
Yeah.
in the hard work? What should we do? And does
Yeah.
it only take? And somebody is asking that. Uh, uh, does it always have to be a topper of a college slash a person who's academically brilliant? So these are the kind of questions. I have a lot of questions which are coming in, but let's start with, what do these companies seek out of people when they're looking for people to join these companies?
Okay. Just to answer the last question, like, do we need to be a college topper? Just to give an idea about it, Google has removed the criteria even if you have a college degree or not. In case you are aware or not, of those who are not aware of it, Google and Facebook and Apple, they have removed the criteria. I'm not sure about Amazon, but Google, Facebook, and Apple, I'm 100% sure. They have removed the criteria. Even if you have a high school degree and you are good in the interview, when I say interview, I'm talking about your skill set. Whatever it is software engineering, it is marketing, it is HR, sales, specialist, whatever you are. If you're good in your skills, even if you don't have any degree, they will give you a job and they are ready to sponsor your education. Correct. You heard it. If you are in the organization and you want to pursue because some of the reasons, because of your family reasons, of your financial conditions, economic conditions, whatever it has been, social conditions, you are not able to complete or grab a degree. These organizations help you to grab a degree. They already prepare you for it. So don't worry about it. Just be good at your skills, everything will work out. And now coming to the specifically like what these organizations expect out of you, I will share a list of questions, not exactly the questions because that will be unfair with the company, the kind of topics they mostly ask with that I will share with you and how to focus on it. But before that, let's give you a brief idea what is expected out in these companies. Remember, in the first thing I told you, product based company expect you to be dependable, accountable. Remember that part always. When you're part of such a big organization, a organization which has a repo of it, right? If you see an Apple product, you imagine something. Okay, this is a class. So that is something they create out of it. The brand they create out of it, right? So if you're part of a brand, this is what they expect out of you. That you are accountable from day one, and your day one starts now. So even if you are applying for a fresher role or a junior developer role, you are expected to be a very they expect you 5 years down the line, 6 years down the lines to be in a technical lead role. So how will you prepare for it? So you have to reflect in your personality during your interview. How you can reflect in your personality? That's again a good question. See, when you code, right, everybody can code. To be very honest, if there's a question and three people know the answer, and all three have given the right answer, now how do you assess which one is the right fit or which one is the wrong fit? So when I take interviews, there are two aspects of it. One is the technical aspect, one is the non-technical aspect. I will cover one by one each. I won't take much time, but just to give a brief idea, this is very important. As an interviewer, I'm telling you. Okay, first is the technical aptitude, right? You're good at coding. When I say coding, you're very good at explaining your approach and writing down your code. Now, when I say explaining your approach, don't when you see a coding question, right? An interview gave you a coding question. It's not like you immediately jump into telling solution. No, you will take even if you have seen the question, do not jump into telling solution. Think about the problem, think about the constants. You might think that this is the same problem you have solved, but interviewer has changed one constant, and because of that, your entire solution would have changed. So that clarity of mind, that thinking ability is always tested there. Do you read the questions or not? Do you understand the requirements carefully? Because if in the interview you are not able to read the questions carefully, when you get in the job, you will be not reading the requirements carefully. And ultimately the clients will say, this is not what I asked for, right? See, that's how it will go. That's the first thing. Second things, when you got the coding question, right, ask for multiple approaches. There are more than one approaches to solve, and that will always happen in your software engineering job. There will always be multiple approaches. So you have to make a trade-off. Trade-off between space and time. Should I save space? Should I save time? In some case, most of the case will be go for time because time is more valuable. Space, we have data centers and other things. But sometimes you cannot keep the space in memory. So you have to think about it, right? Always discuss multiple approaches because interviewers are curious. And this is one tip that I always give. Interview is not an interrogation. Keep the conversation one to one, just like you're talking to your friends. Give mock interviews. Discuss multiple approaches. Is this one better or that one better? This has this time complexity, this has this kind of complexity. Which one should I go for? And once you built a final resolution with the interview, then only go for coding. And here comes the technical part. Until now, it's for non-technical. When you go for the coding, here comes the technical part. When you write code, do you write a production level code or not? Now, here is the catch. What do I mean by production level code? Suppose instead of naming variables, you are doing a competitive programming, so you are used with these words. You just type okay, vector integer, dp, vector integer, n comma 0, so things like that. This is not a contest, and there is no like you're running out of time or you have to coding in to get a rank, good rank. No, when you write a production level code, think from a product perspective. Your code is going to be reviewed by other developer, right? Now, when I say reviewed, they don't know what you're working on, right? And other developer will not know what you're working on. How they will know what you're working on? By seeing your code. So speak through your code, add comments wherever it is required, name the variables when it is needed to, make the code modular, make the code readable. Anybody can read your code. See, a good code is that you can understand. A great code is anybody can understand. So always be a
Wonderful.
great developer that everybody can understand. You don't need to write comments specifically, or you don't need to explain, because see, every time you will not be there to explain, okay, this is what it does, this is what it does. No, your code should be self-explanatory. Choose the right names for your variable, choose the right name of utilities or handlers if you are defining, choose the base condition properly of recursion. So many things are there. And think of the edge cases when you run the dry cases, right? And last, this is the technical approach that we expect in a product-based company, if for a fresher level. For senior levels, we expect more in the system design part for the high-level design and low-level design. But I believe that most of audience are not preparing for senior level design. So just to give a brief overview, these are the design aspects we expect because we are expected to design and develop it. That's the one thing. Now the second and last aspect is I heard about non-technical. So in non-technical, there are a lot of things, right? The way you communicate. Are you able to impress? See, why we focus on communication is that when you are focused on communication, you'll be working in a team, right? It's not like you are the only developer, only you write the code, you develop it. No, there will be multiple developers working on a feature, right? So if you are able to express your thoughts clearly, if you are able to convince people clearly, and when I say convince, I'm equally sure about modulable as well. It's not like okay, I am right, I am right. No, no, no. This is not, this arrogance is not what you expect. You need to be some kind of trainability should be there, right? You can be molded for an initial years of your career. There should be some molding that will be there, right? That's the second thing. And last but not the least, sometimes it will happen that you don't get the question. You really don't get. You try really hard. You have done thousands of questions, but एक question ऐसा आ जाता है नहीं हो रहा, हो ही नहीं रहा. हो जाता है. It's like we all are people, right? It's not like you will always solve all the questions in the interview. You try your level best, but नहीं हो रहा है. कोई approach hit ही नहीं कर रही. You got all blank. At that time, stick to the basics. The best approach is stick to the basics. Even if you're not able to come with the most optimized approach, just try with the brute force. Explain it कि sir मेरे से ये नहीं हो रहा, but brute force I can go for it. Even in that case, we pass the candidate because attitude matters more than the skill. Skills are always trainable, but your attitude is something that you have to show. If you are hunger to learn, you're eager to learn, and you are honest, like this is where I can approach, but I'm not getting the right idea for it, the right algo for it. So that is the second thing that they can go for. So this is what I expect. This is what we expect as part of the good premier product-based companies. Now coming to the
Wonderful.
last question that you have
Yeah.
asked, like what are some of the questions that you usually ask? I will just
Yes.
share my
So
screen.
everybody is waiting for that. While when what you said
Okay.
is so important, so it's almost like the best programmers and the best mentors tell when you're given a coding question, don't start coding. Take a pen and a paper and start with the logic. Break down the problem, break down into logical components. First solve the problem in your head and then the piece of paper, and then write coding. So but having said that, a lot of people are asking, can you tell us what topics, what concepts are typically the kind of concepts which you need to be aware of while you're
Yeah.
aspiring to get to these companies? You have something to
Okay.
share with us?
Yes, I will just share my screen. Give me 1 second.
All right, gentlemen, ladies. So that's what you're looking for is what's coming up on your screen right now. What are the topics? What are the specific concepts that these product companies look for you to have really high caliber and competence in knowing these things? And all the people who are asking a lot of questions, we're just at the top of our side of of sharing the experiences and exposure. Uh, right after this, we're going to straight jump into the kind of questions which you're asking one by one. All to you,
Yes.
Devang.
I hope my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, it has just come. Yes,
Okay, so I hope you are able to see the pie chart here.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so these are some of the common topics, and you can see there's a percentage written behind all of this, right? So if I have to just revise the most kind of question that is asked, so it asks depending upon the role as well as the company you're interviewing for. But that being said, these are some of the very popular and common topics that is asked. So as you can see, first it starts with recursion, 9.5% of the times, which is almost 10%, right? So every 1 out of 10 questions will be a recursive problem based upon recursion concepts. Now, when I say recursion, it can be related to backtracking as well. It's not limited to only recursion. It can be bottom up recursion, it can be top down, it can be tail recursion, it can be optimization. There are multiple subtopics as well. Second is about dynamic programming, which again is a very, very important topic and occupies 10% of your interview weightage. Now, when I say 10%, in dynamic programming, you can be asked for largest, smallest, maximum, minimum, count, variables. A lot of variations can be asked on one problems. Okay, it can be a top-down DP, it can be bottom-up DP, depending upon whatever the use case is. Third and very important is trees and graphs. Extremely, extremely important data structures. The reason they are extremely data structure is these are actually used in your production level. There actually will be use cases where you will be using trees and you will be using graphs as a node and you will be traversing these nodes in your actual production level project. So as you can see, this occupies the largest chunk here. 30% of the questions. 30% of the questions comes from graphs and trees. So you have to be very, very good at this data structure. And this is something we really focus on when we teach at Edyst to improve more on your problem solving skills and data structure and algorithm skills. Next, which is an easy part, I will say it's really easy, arrays and string processing. Because anybody who starts programming, the first thing they start with is arrays and strings, right? But that being said, you cannot undermine their importance. They are 20% of it. So one-fifth of your question is asked from arrays and strings. So at least these part you can accept. Okay, out of 100, I will be able to solve 20% easily, right? Then if you're good with recursion, you get 30% and degree B 40%. Graph is something you have to, graph entry is something you have to work on. So get to the 70%. Then we have the geometric and math problems. So in geometric and math, it can be related to geometry. It can be the Hull algorithm, convex Hull algorithm. In mathematics, it can be about permutation and combo combinations, right? So these kind of questions are also asked in the interviews. Now, when I say interviews, I'm talking about the online assessment as well. So these kind of questions you will commonly find in Google online assessment, Facebook online assessment, questions like that. If you just go to Google and read the previous year questions, you will find these questions. And last but not the least is your system design. I believe that most who are junior developers, they will undermine the importance of system design. But let me tell you guys, the later you start system design, the more you will regret it. Trust me. Even if you are a junior, even if you think like system design will not be asked to me or it is not that much important to me, I'm telling you guys, this will be your worst mistake. Do not think like that. System design is extremely important. And if you are not able to understand how your system works, how your distributed system works, then that will be a problem for you when actually working on a production scale, right? Being a good competitive programmer is a one thing, and being a good developer is a one thing. Please don't confuse the two. I repeat, being a competitive programmer is one thing, being a good software developer is a one thing. Do not confuse the two. Think about your problem solving skills. Try to understand how large distributed softwares work, how microservices work, how do they interact with each other, what are REST APIs, what is cache, load balancing, things like that, and what is Redis clusters, why do we use it, what is availability, what is cap theorem, all about it. Try to be more intrigued about it, not because you this will be asked in the interview, but because you are intrigued about it. That's the most important point I would say, or most important takeaway that I would like to give you. And then there are some core concepts. So these core concepts can be related to your DBMS, database management system. It can be your computer networking and your operating system. One very crucial point here. When I say about core concepts, we are not interested in hearing the theoretical definition. So if I ask you about the difference between a thread and a process, I don't expect that you will give me a bookish definition or something that you have seen somewhere or read from somewhere. I will always back up this question with a practical example. And even if the interviewer does not back up it, it's your duty to explain it with the practical example.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
That's pretty much, yeah. That's some of the most important topics that have been asked in these companies from all the product-based companies, and you have to focus more on it.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much, Devang. It gives a lot of context of what we're trying to do here is to give a path. It is basically to, sorry about that. So, it's basically to give a context of not just what you need to be good at, but how. So, let's start with the question and answers. And there are a
Yeah.
ton of questions which have come in the last few minutes. Let's start with the very, very basic ones, and then we'll see what it is. One of the questions which most people are asking is, which language should I learn to be good at, to be good enough to get into these companies? Is it C++, is it Java, is it Python, or it is something else? So what's the answer there?
I would say, see, language is never a barrier for you. What we are looking for is not that you have to be competent at a particular language. No, we will teach you the language, we will teach you the basics, we will teach you documentation and everything. But we expect you to be good at problem solving skills. So whatever language you are comfortable with, be it C++, be it Java, be it Python, C Sharp, Kotlin, anything, be good at it. So when I say good at it, if I ask you to solve a problem, you are able to write a production level code. I repeat the word production level code in that language. If you are able to do it, that's all I need. That's all we need as an interview. That's it. And coming to the specific, like C++ versus Java is again a common question I ask. That depends on the interview company as well, right? If the major tech stack they're hiring for is Java based, Spring Boot and Hibernate, they will prefer to be a Java background, right? And if you're doing competitive programming, so for competitive programming, C++ is the best language. The reason is because of its fast scalability and services. So for that, C++ is the best language. But in an interview, language is never a barrier. You are free to code in any language as long as you write the clean and modular code, which the interviewer is able to understand.
Wonderful. One of the questions which a lot of people are asking is this. You're talking about advanced algorithm data structures. You just showed a pie chart of the most asked concepts and where you need to put in what kind of energy and time. But typically, how long does it take to be really good at this advanced algorithm data structures to really master all the things on the pie chart is one of the questions people are asking.
Okay. So to answer this question, how long does it take? It
Hmm.
depends on two things. First, how much are you willing to invest? And second, how where are you learning from? It's both ways. If you have a good mentor, you will be learning very quickly. Now when I say quickly, I'm not saying you will skipping the concepts. No, that is not a good mentor means. Good mentor means he's not telling you the solutions. He's what he's doing is he's making you think how to
Mhm.
solve that problem. Sometimes you will be able to solve, sometimes you won't be able to solve, but if you develop that thinking ability, okay, this is how I have to approach a problem. If somebody asks me this in interview, this is how to attempt. If you're able to get that missing piece of mentorship, that is very, very, very crucial. And I believe if I could change something in my college, that will be that. The reason I explored so much path is because there was nobody for me to tell, okay, ignore this, you don't need to do this only, like connect the dots and go there. But there was nobody for that time. But I believe that you as a people are now very lucky because you have a very good community. You have Edyst there, you have multiple organizations who are supporting there, you have a college communities there. So take the best leverage example of it. You have multiple, so many good mentors here. So take the example from it and learn from it. So that's the
So,
one thing.
how long does it take generally if somebody because there are a lot of good questions saying that, sir, I am. Some people are saying I'm still at the foundation level. Some people are
Okay.
saying, sir, I've done some coding in the second and third year. I'm in the final year, and so on and so forth. How long
Okay.
does it generally take? When, of course, it's very individualistic. At what competency level
Yeah.
you're currently in, how familiar you are. But generally, what's your advice to people?
Okay. Starting from the basic, from the very scratch, I will say 4 to 6 months is all it will take for all algorithm analysis, advanced algorithms and data structures. 4 to 6 months, yeah.
Fair enough. One of the question we're getting is how different are the questions which get asked in these are only example companies. They don't mean actually this, but are questions different than what are being asked in Amazon versus Uber versus a Google versus Facebook or any other companies?
I would typically cover it into two categories: premium companies and non-premium companies.
Mhm.
See, the questions that you will get in premium companies, they will not be, you will not find such questions
Okay.
anywhere, right? They will
Okay.
form questions based upon what you're speaking. So if I talk about my example at Netflix, so I just
Okay.
recently interviewed with Netflix, and That was one of the best interview experience I had. They had 8 rounds of interview. That's the highest round of interviews I've given for any organization. So I didn't even feel like I'm giving interview. He was just talking as a friend, right? And he was
Conversation.
asking about, yeah, more of a conversation. And I was talking more about what I'm doing, the kind of work I'm doing. He grilled me on that. He was really interested to know what kind of work I'm doing, what kind of challenges I'm facing, and how I'm solving those challenges. Then he got into the class diagram, architecture diagram, activity diagram, everything, even the smallest detail he wanted, was so interested. It is really a good conversation if somebody is interested, right? So that's the one difference that I noticed. They are very focused on how clear you are on what you are doing. That's the one thing. And second thing is problem they will create out of what you are speaking, right? So like if you're speaking about something and as an interviewer, they will complete it into algorithm problem and you won't realize it at that time. You will realize it later. Okay, this was a DP question which he formed like this. That is something how the questions are formed. That's one thing. So I would advise that you have to be very clear, very clear in okay, what are the different algorithms, what is backtracking, what is DP, where it is used, what kind of question it is solved used. Then only you will be able to attend. If you are expecting like I will mug up 150 or 200 solutions and try to solve these companies, maybe or maybe not. I'm not the right person for it. But ultimately, it will hamper your performance only. Right? Try to be a thinker, not a person who just writes the code.
Correct. So this is one thing. All the wonderful people on the program today. You're all academic, right? From your schooling to college was a very different mindset. It's all about absorbing certain things and putting it back on a paper. But
Yeah.
when it comes to interviews, I can count the number of times you use the word problem solving. So problem solving means it's just not a lift and shift of some answer, but look at a
Yeah.
problem and says, all right, I know I have something called pattern familiarity. I've done something similar to this, not exactly like this. How do I apply those principles? How do I apply those concepts to solve this problem? So one very interesting question we have from one of our friends. His name is Rockstar. He's asking, please, can you tell us how do you start this coding career from a zero to master in such a way that they can get into good companies? What would you have? What would you have to say for that? And we have about 15 minutes left, so we'll keep it in a rapid fire. So, what's the quick advice for Rockstar here?
Okay, that's a really good question, Rockstar. You have put a timeline on 6 months. So one thing I would do is divide those 6 months into the preparation state. So your last 1 month will be mock interviews. So now you have technically 5 months. Now let's talk about from the perspective of 5 months. And I assume that you are very basic. You're starting from the scratch. You don't know anything about programming, right? So in first month, I will keep it for the basic questions like arrays and strings because that's the simplest topic. And in first month, you'll be able to grasp on it. In the second month, I will focus more on trees and DPs and backtracking. Why? Because these are one of the most popular questions in the interview. That's why I would like to take it for second month. For third month, I would like to cover the graphs, segment trees, and some competitive programming stuff. In the fourth and fifth month, you know what I'll be doing? I'll be just revising and giving competition. Now, when I say revising, I will be revising questions of platforms. What are some good platforms? There are many good platforms like there's Edyst, there is Lead Code, there is HackerRank, there is HackerEarth, right? These are some good platforms, and there's Code Forces. So I will take part in such competitive programming contest. We have Facebook Hacker Cup, we have Facebook Code Jam. 2 months of serious competitive programming stuff or serious programming competitions, even problem solving, will actually lift you up. And when you reach at the fifth month of you can actually see any question. You'll be able to identify. Okay, you read the question, you're able to identify. Okay, this is this algorithm, this is DP, this is backtracking, and I'm able to solve it. Once you reach at that stage, I think after 1 month of your mock interviews, they're good to clear any company in 6 months. So divide your 6 months judiciously, and you'll be able to crack it.
Wonderful. I hope, Rockstar, you got the answer you're looking for. We have a follow-up question that from Mahima, and it's a very pertinent question. And Mahima, thank you for asking this question. This is something which I think everybody should know. If they are preparing for a career and they have certain things to, they should always know where you stand
Yes.
as this point of moment. So, what's the quick answer for this, Devang?
The
How will
quickest
one know where they stand today?
Okay, the quick answer that I would say is, how do you know how much you score in an exam, right? Only when you give a marks, when you get the marks, right? You give exam, if you get 90 out of 100, you guess, okay. When you get 60 out of 100, you're like, okay, I need some improvement, right? Similar in case of a coding, our exams is like contest. Take any of the competitive programming contest, any of the contest that is going on, and try to solve questions. You will get to know what is your level. And luckily, we have Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. So you don't need like, okay, I'm super level coder, I just go to the top coder only. No, even you know your level best, right? And apart from any other person, you know your level best. So try to solve different type of questions. If you're able to solve more difficult one, try more difficult one, and that's how you know based upon your ranking. And second, the time taken to solve that question. That's where you know how where you stand in the coding.
Thank you. And for Mahima, please go visit Edyst website. Pick up any module of your choice. The first module is always available for our sincere learners. Go and try those some of the questions there. And if you get stuck, we are always there to support you from a mentor standpoint while you're experiencing the platform. So one follow-up question is we have Yamni. She's telling that she's in engineering in the final year. They're applying for jobs and they're asking pseudocode, so coding and pseudocode, and but
Mhm.
I don't know that coding language. She doesn't know any coding language because
Okay.
either they learned and not learned. So what do you advise for people who are from non-computer science background but they're
Okay.
aspiring for careers in IT? Where do you want them to start and how can they?
I have many people who have actually switched from non-computer background, mechanical, civil, EC, and they're doing really good in computer programming, right? And really good, they're really good software engineer, they're really good software developer in testing. They're doing really good. So I would never think that any of your branch is actually a barrier for you. No, that's not. And second thing, how to start for it is always think like you have the advantage over others, right? The advantage, you don't think like you have a disadvantage. Think of it as an advantage because you have so much to learn. They are getting it as part of a curriculum, but you are not getting it. So now it becomes an advanced scope for you to learn that as part of your own initiative and implement it. So that's one thing. And second thing, even if you're using with pseudocode, right, I will prefer choose one language, any of C++, Java or Python. Fix one language because language is extremely important. Ultimately, you have to write a code in some language, right? So even if you don't get a chance to learn any language as part of a curriculum, figure out on your own whatever suits according to you, whichever you find most comfortable coding it. And once you have chosen that language, then you start solving questions in it, and that you will be able to crack the competitive.
Wonderful. So, quick question. While this is an ocean, this is problem solving skills is an entire seminar in itself. We can talk, and I think
Yeah,
they will can talk about half a day just talking about problem solving techniques, problem solving methods. And but
yeah.
at a holistic level, Ajit is asking, how do you improve problem solving skills?
Okay. Uh, that's actually a very, very vast topic, as you have said. But from a technical perspective, we'll just cover two, 3 points in chops. Okay. First is multiple approaches. Problem solving. The difference between a problem solver and the difference between the somebody who has wrote the code is about the number of approaches. The one who has wrote the code, he will give you one solution. That's how you know, okay, you have wrote a solution and you are done now. If I change a bit modification to the question, you're stuck because you have not memorized the solution for that, right? That's one thing. And one who is actually a problem solver, he will give you at least 3 4 solutions depending upon the question. And even if you make any modification to the question, he will still be able to come up with an idea. So the first and very important is multiple approaches to solve a problem. Second and very important is writing a clean modular code. Very clean, very modular, choosing the right name, choosing the best developer practices, choosing the best design principles, choosing the right naming of variables, and then telling the interviewer. That's the second thing. And third thing is not on the technical side, from the non-technical side. If you want to improve your problem solving skills, this is what I do. I generally solve puzzles because I love solving puzzles. So that's kind of make me think outside of the box. That's one of the criteria as well, because sometimes in software engineering, you will be working on a production bug, you'll be working on some new feature, and you will not find any solution anywhere. Anyway, you search for Stack Overflow, you search for any of the community, you don't find any solution. So that's something a very important quality of a problem solver. Think something outside of the box. You might take reference from what you have done in the past, but do not stick to it. Do not stick to it. Always try to improve yourself with something outside of the box. So this is one approach I always recommend.
Wonderful. Quick, rapid question. So, we have a question. He says one of our friends is asking, I have knowledge in all, or he thinks he has knowledge in advanced algos and data structures, and I'm able to solve problems too, but I'm not in a state where I can solve some problems uh, not all the problems he's able to solve. So it demotivates him when he's not able to solve. So
Okay.
I think, firstly, thank you for asking this question. And this is a common problem or a challenge. I'll use the word challenge for many. Whenever you're not able to solve problems, it demotivates people. It's a human tendency. It's not a matter of your age or your branch or anything. It's a human tendency when you're not able to accomplish things. So what's the quick answer? How to overcome this demotivation which people go through when they're stuck at certain problems and not able to solve?
Okay. See, the best way to overcome is that instead of choosing random problems, first you do is you choose the specific problems. How do you choose specific problems? As I said, there are multiple platforms. If I go to Lead Code, if I take an example of Lead Code, you can find the topic-wise questions there, right? Now you can sort them by easy, medium, or hard. They always come with a tag, easy, medium, or hard. Once you are done solving easy, then go to the medium, then go to the hard. If you just miss and you just go to the hard, you will definitely get demotivated for sure, because you are not following the right step, right? You take the second step only after taking the first step, right? So first is that choosing the right set of questions, and second is that sometimes, yes, even if you're doing a lot, you're doing a lot of programming, you're doing a lot of competitive programming, you're doing lot solving the problems, sometimes another question comes and you are like, okay, this was an easy question but I'm not able to solve, and this demotivates you. So for that case, I would recommend is think from a brute force perspective. Don't give up. Think from a brute force perspective. Even if you're not able to come with a optimal solution, at least think from a brute force perspective. Take some time off, have some water or music or whatever makes you happy, and then come back to that question with a fresh mind. The reason you are not able to come with the approach is not that you don't know the answer. The reason is that you're stuck in your previous approach. And until and unless you don't give it a fresh thought, this will become a little bit difficult, and that is actually demotivating.
So one of very very important question which we getting asked is, why are we only talking about software and software related stuff? Are other branches and other domains not important? My friends, absolutely. The world needs all kinds of people. We need civil engineers, we need mechanical engineering, chemical, geo, we need environmental sciences and everything. Today's session is about, we got a lot of, and that's what Edyst is all about. We are trying to help students in one domain. I'm very, very sure there are other companies, there are other people who are helping people in other domains. So the answer to the question is, why are we only talking about this, is because that is what Edyst does. And as you said, all respect to people who want to be in the core domain. But my only piece of advice is, even if you do core, whether it's civil, mechanical, metallurgy, chemical, some knowledge of software is always helpful, because when you go to these core industries, they're also dependent on a lot of automation,
Yes.
IoT, software development, so on and so forth. And I was talking to somebody in a construction company the other day, and they're saying that, Vasu, it is insane the amount of software engineers we hire, because we want automation, we want structural engineering things, and a lot of people who have problem solving skills and so on and so forth. All right. So very quickly, I'll do the rapid fire here.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, are there any uh, in this product companies? Do they ask this aptitude concepts?
Uh, Generally, I would say no. They don't ask for aptitude questions because the aptitude is checked by your technical aptitude. But in some of the cases, let's say in case of an online drive, right, where you have large number of candidates and you have to shortlist it, then they don't have any other criteria. In that case, they might conduct. But generally, it's all about data structure algorithm and system design.
Perfect. So this question, and if you want to become a full stack developer, if you want to get into this domain of
Mhm.
web development, application development, do we need to learn data structures and algorithms?
This question is actually making me laugh because the reason is you are saying, if I want to make a villa, do I need a brick? This is the question. If you want to make a villa, of course you need a brick. Data structure algorithm and full stack development, they are not different. Data structure algorithm is the base on the top of which you make a career, right? Be it full stack development, be it Android development, be it machine learning, be it anything, be it anything. Data structure algorithm are the most foundation. Just to give an example, you talk about full stack development, right? So if you are familiar with mean and MERN technologies, in React we have hooks. How does hooks work? How does hooks work? The knowledge lies in the data structure and the algorithm part. So this is the first step that you need to do before traversing into the domain. So don't consider these are two different things. No, no, no. Data structure algorithm is the building blocks. On the top of it, you can choose based upon your preference, be it full stack, be it machine learning, be it Android, be it anything, be it IoT, be it anything else.
Okay. So one of the interesting question we have is, I'll take the first part and then you can tell. So where do we find this recruitment notifications for these product companies? Great question. So one of the things is what Devang very beautifully said is community. You need to be in a certain community to be always. So imagine you're a part of a sports committee. Imagine you're a part of a movie committee. All that they're talking about are those things. So being in a certain community. While there are many communities out there, we are very proud of the Edyst community, where there are hundreds and thousands of people who are always talking about these things. And there is a specific job notification where we are always looking and searching and scouting for which opportunities are available for young people like you to get into this product company. So we are doing that. Other than that, Devang, what are the other places where they can find notifications and they know that who's hiring where and when?
Okay, so there are two criteria I can divide on. First is company specific. For example, I want to know the criteria where when Google is hiring or when Facebook is hiring, right? Simplest thing that every company has is go to their career websites. They have something called turn on notifications. This option is always there in all the companies, right? So you feature like if I like software engineer India or software engineer US and turn on the notification. So as soon as you will get a weekly notification or daily notification depending upon the frequency you select. So you will get all the notifications which job is open and what is hiring. That's the one thing, right? Second thing that I leverage the most is the LinkedIn. LinkedIn come with a feature of turn on the notifications, right? So you can select the companies. Let's say I selected FAANG companies and some other top product based companies, and I place the location as India, Bangalore, or US, California, anywhere, right? And I got the notifications for all of it. So that gives me daily notifications. I'm always aware of it. And other advantage I have in LinkedIn is it shows me the recruiter who is hiring for, right? So I can directly reach out to them. I can directly reach out to the hiring manager. So that's one of the added advantage. Third and last but not the least, as Vasu has very rightly said, community is very important. And Edyst is one of the communities where you have YouTube channels that actually show you these are the current top news. There are many other channels as well. Feel free to like whatever you want to choose,
Yes.
but they're also providing it. But what personally I leverage is using their career website and the LinkedIn. That's what I have.
Wonderful. So it's a very interesting question, and Charul, thank you for asking this. So this is a real life scenario where a lot of people don't necessarily start off their careers with product-based companies, and I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of people who start with services-based companies. They do really well, and so on and so forth. So a quick answer to this: what do you think is the career path for people who start with services companies?
This is actually a very good question because switching from an organization is a bit tough, I would say, especially in your initial years. When you're in foundation years, switching is really tough. And that too, a major switch from a service based to product based is something really tough. And I'm really sure you will need to put a hard work there as well. You will need a lot of hard work there. So one thing I would say is whatever your working hours are, I'm sure if you're able to get 2 to 3 hours every day, I think that is sufficient. You don't need 6 hours, you don't need 7 hours. I will not exaggerate anything. If you're able to get 2 to 3 hours and you're able to sincerely read for 2 to 3 hours, when I say sincerely, turn off your notifications, turn off your mobile phone, do not talk to anybody, close everything that you have, close every distraction that you have in the world. And for those 2 to 3 hours, you are actually in the zone like, okay, this is my goal, I'm a warrior, and this is what I have to get. You have to be in that zone. There's no other way. Just 2 or 3 hours of that zone of study. By study, I mean practice. You know what to read, you know how to read, everything is there. It's only now your efforts were there. We as a mentor at Edyst or other organizations, we are ready to tell you what to study, how to study. The third and the most important element is you have to decide, you have to give those 2 hours from your side as well. We can teach you, we can tell you everything, but if you don't give those 2 hours, it will be difficult for you. And if you give those 2 hours, mark my words, there is nothing that can stop you.
Wonderful. So we are almost at the top of our hour. We are 4 minutes ahead. So, but we have a few questions. So, please, my friends, we'll keep it quick. And in case we are not able to answer any other questions, please write to team@edyst.com. I'll share the email ID, and we'll be more than happy. So, rapid fire continues, Devang. So, are projects important? What project should I do if I have not yet done some projects? Are any specific kind of projects help us get noticed in these big companies?
Okay, first thing, our project's important. Yes, they are very important. How much they're important? If you have done internships, they won't count much in the. I don't personally count much in the process because I will be more interested in the kind of work you have done. But if you have not much internships in your resume, then yes, I will grill down on projects. Second, what should I do if I don't have a project yet? Well, go and make a project. What are you waiting for? Then third, what kind of projects get noticed? See, it's not like you build a very high project and you expect, okay, now the interviewer will select. Like for example, I have seen people who make Amazon clone. Amazon is such a big website, man. There are at least 1,000 developers who are building it, and you as a second year, third year, fourth year candidate, you say I have built Amazon clone. Now that makes sense. That doesn't make sense, right? So I will be asking some of the questions in that, and you are not able to answer it, like concurrency issue and everything. So
Very
that's
true.
that's not something that will impress me. So don't take a very hi-fi project expecting that, okay, this is the impact I will create an interview, I will impress the interview. No, you are doing the reverse of it. And to impress it, choose a project that is your own. Start it from the scratch until the end. You know everything. Even if you are not able to complete that project, you are able to explain everything from the scratch. This is how I choose, this is the problem I face, this is how I solve the problem, and this is what I do in modifications. Modification is also important, right? No project is completely like, okay, this is perfect to 100%. There is always some scope of modification. So know these four things, and I think you're good to go.
Okay, couple of quick questions. I am from a mechanical branch, but I would request a holistic answer. A lot of people are asking, I'm from civil, I'm from non. Am I eligible? So it's more of a mindset answer they're asking. Should they be even thinking about that? It's almost like they're asking, sir, do you want me to even put in that effort if I am from a non-computer science? What's the answer?
Okay, I would like to be very honest here. See, in terms of company hiring, right? In terms of college hiring, when this company visits the college, they have so much of candidates and so less number of interviews. They need some criteria to shortlist. Sometimes that criteria is based upon CGPA. Sometimes that criteria is based upon the branches. That's something they have to do, right? Because they have shortage. It's like if you think from an interview perspective, right? You have 10 people, or let's say 5 to 10 people, and you have to interview 1,000, 10,000 candidates. Like it becomes really difficult. It's very cumbersome, and they are leaving their projects, right? They are not like they're only for interview. They're actual developers there, so they're leaving their projects who are lying there, right? So you have to go for the projects as well. So think from that perspective. That is one foundation they put. So if you're asking from that perspective, you feel like you are not eligible in a college drives and all. But trust me, in off-campus placement, none of this matters. Your branch does not become a barrier of your do. So definitely you are eligible and you should put that effort. These efforts are worth putting it. Okay. Apply for off-campus placement, get the referrals via LinkedIn or any of the people you know, show them your projects, and I think you will be able to correct it.
Wonderful. And it goes, Edyst has had this experience of a lot of people from mechanical, civil, non-computer science background make it into really, really good companies. The one input I sincerely tell all people from non-computer science is, as Devang all said, it's a part of their curriculum. C, C++, Java, Python is taught, and so on and so forth. Probably you think it's their advantage because you come from a clean slate, pick up one programming language. You need to put in more effort than those people till you reach. I mean, it almost comes that all people become equal at one level if you put enough effort. After
Yeah.
that is where is the inflection point which comes. So, Mr. Raut, I believe that you will put in the required effort, and we wish you great success. So, this is a very interesting question. They're asking there's so many platforms out there. Should we stick to one platform, or should we just keep go berserk on multiple platforms and keep practicing? Great question, Bhavika.
It's a good question, Bhavika. And the simplest answer I could give is if you try to board two boats at one time, you will fall. If you try to board two boats at one time, you will fall. Pick one boat and sail through it and get to your destination. All platforms are good, be it Codeforces, be it CodeChef, be it HackerRat, be it LeetCode, be it HeadCoder, be it TopCoder. All are good depending upon what level you are solving your problems. HackerRank, HackerRat as well, right? So pick any one of them, and once you think like, okay, I have solved all problems, now I want to scale my level, then you can go to the next level. So if I have to give a brief ordering, it would be something like start easy with the HackerRank, then go to the LeetCode. Then once you are done solving the LeetCode, then go to the Codeforces, then go to the TopCoder or HeadCoder if you want to progress more into the competitive programming journey. And I believe that once you are done with HackerRank and LeetCode and this code forces, I believe you're good to crack with all of the companies. That's sufficient. You don't need to go through all the questions of all the organizations.
So, kind of wrapping up on our thing before we think. So, one of the very important things we started talking about problem solving.
Yep.
Very important, the cornerstone. Then comes the syntax. As you said, doesn't matter which language you write it in, as long as you write good code, efficient code, clean code, comment well,
Yep.
write well. That's now comes to the fact that let somebody has cleared this coding rounds in these companies. Then finally you sit in front of a person. Now that's where the human
Yes.
interaction comes. How
Yes.
important is communication skills? The answer goes without saying that it's very, very important. And my friends on the session today, communication skill is not about you trying to prove that you have good English. It's all about you trying to tell the other person, I can communicate. That means communication comes from this Latin word called communis, means common. You're establishing a common degree of understanding between you and the other person on the other side. So you're trying to explain, trying to express yourself so that the other person can understand. And it's the other way around. When some person is asking you a problem, do you have the skills enough to uh, understand, and communication skills enough to comprehend what they say? The first part is that. The second part is what I'm throwing to you. What are some of the things which you did and some of your friends have done, Devang, to improve the communication skills when you're already in the third and fourth year?
Okay. The best way is to improve the communication skill to talk. Yeah, talk with your friends, talk with strangers. So what I did, I can tell about myself. I take part in a lot of debates. I take part in a lot of group discussions. I take a part in a lot of, thanks to the SSB, I got a very, very good personality out of it. And I take part in a lot of extemporaries, right? I believe that in this COVID era, in this pandemic, it becomes really difficult to take part in extemporaries and public speaking and all. So it might be a bit a barrier of it, but you have to do something, right? So you can go with any of the stranger. Like there are multiple apps that are available, so you can go there and practice your English. And another thing is try recording the video. This is one of the things that I have told my friend, and he's recently got recommended for army, and he'll be joining the army soon. So this is what I told him. So when you are taking, like, you want to see how you look like in communication skills, take a video camera, place a video camera. It can be a mobile camera, it can be the laptop camera, and try to record whatever you're speaking. Observe your expressions. At that time when you're speaking, don't observe, be natural what you are. And then when you are done recording it, then observe your expressions, your voice modulation, your speech modulation. Are you focusing on the words correctly or not? Are you weighing them correctly or not? Are you speaking too fast? Are you speaking too slow? Are you stammering or not? What are your hands expression? What is your body language? So a lot of things come into a part of a communication skills. And I believe that happens over a period of time, that happens with the practice only. So the more you practice, the better you become. And last but not the least, to give you a pointer, is that watch videos of Toastmasters. So I have been a public speaker. I do still do public speaking whenever I get a chance to. So this is a program called Toastmasters, where you have the world's best public speakers and they share the stage. Try to watch their videos. How do they communicate? Listen to Shashi Tharoor. So this is such a good example. He's a very good motivator. He's a very good communicator. See how he speaks, how Shashi Tharoor speaks. Forget about the English for 1 second, but see the way he communicates. That is how something you relate to and you try to adapt to.
If I don't know the answer to a question asked by an interviewer, what should I do?
See, I have partially answered it. If it happens, you have done so many questions, but sometimes you get over blank. Okay, I really don't know. मुझे नहीं आता. The best way is to tell the interviewer that you don't know the answer. But there would you start, but that doesn't mean like, okay, I will not do anything. मुझे नहीं आता. No, you have to keep trying, and that is some of the things we are looking for. Do you give up or don't you give up? What is your attitude? Because be assured of it. In your life, in your job life, it's not like you will have a problem and you always know the solution. No, that's not going to be easy. You will never know the solution, and that is when your attitude comes into picture. Are you putting efforts like, okay, I will not let this question go, I'm going to try my level best until and unless I solve it? So that is one thing you have to do for. And second thing is, if you're not able to come with the optimal approach, at least think of the basic approach, like what can be the brute force out of it. That's what you can do.
So this gentleman asked the question, and yeah. So what we said is other departments and other branches. So what he's actually asking is uh, other domains within the IT. Is it networking, data science, and other? Why only programming? So is programming the bedrock where we all start with, whether you're a network engineer, data science, data analyst, or there are other streams to prepare for?
uh, I believe there is a lag, Vasu. Yeah, I think now it's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So this gentleman is asking why you only
I missed
talking
this
about
question.
algorithms and data structures. and why only programming? There are other
Okay.
career opportunities as a data scientist or a data analyst and a networking engineer. So why only programming?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Vasu has already answered it. I will just give you a heads up to it. See, in whatever domain you are, whatever industry you are, software engineering or programming in general has become the need of the hour. The reason being that is there's so many use cases. Even he has given an example of construction company, right, where they're building software for automation. What software engineering does is it actually saves you time and saves you cost. And I think this is the most two important things for any business. If it is able to save you time, it is able to save you cost, it is crucial for the business. That's how business works. Right? And even if you talk about networking and data science, right, this is my domain. So I can actually relate to it because I have people who are working in networking and data science. So there also we use programming. Even in networking, you have multiple protocols that are used. How these protocols are implemented. These protocols are implemented using programming only. In data science, how do you implement the algorithms? You'll go implement the algorithms by programming only, right? So programming is something that actually generally covers, and this will be the need of the art for the coming future. So that's what required.
Yeah, and most of the careers as doesn't matter whether it's a big company. There is a small element of jobs which directly look for. I'm looking for a networking engineer with a certain certification. I'm looking for a data scientist. But most often than not, whether it's a big product company or a services company, they look for good problem solving skills. They look for you being good at one programming language, and then your career takes off once you join the company. So yeah, we're at the top of the hour,
Yeah.
and one of the questions. Thank you so much, Vijayamarthi sir. So Vijayamarthi sir is head of one of the most prestigious engineering colleges in the state. Thank you so much for being on the call, sir, and asking us this question. Absolutely, this session is available and will be on YouTube for people to access this. And I'm so glad that you're there and you found that this is useful. And Vijayamarthi sir has always been a big advocate and a proponent of our mission to inspire Devang, a lot of the students in his college and other colleges as well. So with this, I will uh, ask you one last thing. You already answered this. This is very interesting. They're asking that non-IT students who have only projects in the code domain, a civil engineering would go to do an internship in a civil engineering or a construction company, a mechanical engineering and thing. But when you go and
Yeah.
start sitting in interviews for a services or a product company, they're asking what projects do you have in IT or software? What do you think is a good response for that?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, Vasu, hope I am available. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
you're
hope
here.
I'm
You're
audible.
here. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dev.
Okay. So this is actually a very good question. Like, what projects you have related to the IT sector? Yeah, I agreed that being in the college, you don't much have exposure in the IT sector because you are from a different branches. So the best example is pick something basic. But when I say basic, you should be knowing inside or outside about it, completely knowledge about it, right? So don't go with a very large project just to impress the interview. Choose a very basic example. For example, a Jira ticketing application, right? You must every almost every company use Jira, right? It is used for creating ticket. It is used for tracking progress, how the project is working, what are the agile cycles, things like that, right? So even if you make such a basic project like a Jira ticketing app, it sounds basic, but there are a lot of things that can come into it. If you know the inside of it, how you created the applications, how you created the various tickets, how the concurrency is maintained, how do you close a ticket, how do you open a ticket, what is the timeline a ticket is opened for, what are scrums, what are agiles, what is the timeline for any agile cycle, and things like that. So even if you choose a very basic example that is commonly used, I repeat, commonly used, don't choose anything specific to your domain only. For example, if you are from civil only and you make an application which is only making use case in civil, and if you go in a software engineering interview and the other person is not able to understand like what is the value it brings out of it, I'm focusing on the word value it brings out of it. So choose something that is very commonly used, which is common to both your domain as well as the software engineering domain. There are many such applications. There is Salesforce, there is CRM, there is HRM, right? There's so many things. Choose one of these projects and try to make something new innovation in it. that will actually generate more value in it, and that will give you more weightage in it if you show that as a product.
Wonderful. So, as we conclude, what I want to share with all of you is that this is a journey. This is a journey, and the journey is all about you wanting to be in a domain. You wanted to be in product companies and so on and so forth. It's about your career, and your journey starts. And a lot of people have asked, "Am I too late to join now? I'm already in the final semester. I'm in third year. I'm." Some people are saying, "Hey, I'm still in the first year. Is it a good career path and for me to start?" So everybody on the call today is at different stages of their career, in their career timeline. So it's never too late. And one of the person asked, "You know what? Some companies are coming to to my campus in the next 15 days. What can I do?" So while we do not have a magic answer to say that, "You know what, do these 20 questions and you'll get through it," but what we really recommend you is that it's all about practice. And this is the philosophy with which we run Edyst, our programs, where lectures or sessions in theoretical concepts and your doubt clearing sessions and all that, which Devang and Anik from Edyst would come and do, that forms the foundation of what you are. But 80% of the success comes through the practice. Your lectures are like mentors coming and telling you what's the approach, how to refine your thinking, how to relook at things, how to relook at a problem, and so on and so forth. But 80% of the success which comes is through practice. And believe me, it's not about Edis. You can join any other program which you want, but just by watching a lot of YouTube lectures or just by listening to live lectures, that is not the way to get into these product companies or any company. You would have realized, you would have seen some of your seniors also do that the success comes when you're all about practice. And the confidence level, which some of you people are telling that I'm not very confident and all that, the confidence level keeps increasing the more and more time you spend on a platform and actually code on the concept which the mentors are training. So yeah, so we are always here. Please write to us at team@edis.com. We are a 24/7 platform where there are live mentors who are always available for you from morning 9 till evening 9 to answer any of the things. And one thing which we are all about is that we believe that potential, irrespective of which college you're from, which branch you're from, we believe that as long as you're willing to put in the effort, there are always people on this side who will actually help you do. And which company you would get into is a function of your effort, is a function of the time you put in, is the effort you put in, the sincerity you put in. And the world is your oyster, and you can join any of the companies which you dream of, as long as you're willing to listen to the mentor, put in the hard work, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so with that, I would like to take the time out. As I say, a big thank you. And all those people who are we have not been able to answer. We are almost an hour and a half into the session. It was supposed to be an hour session, but the questions kept rolling in. If you believe that there are questions which we have not been able to, please reach out to team@edis.com. We're always there. One of the student mentors, if you drop in your mobile number, if you drop in your email ID, we'll always come back and respond to you. We believe that apart from running a program and a platform and a company called Edyst, we also have a responsibility towards young people like you to make sure that you're taking the right career decisions. So with that, I would like to extend a huge thanks to Devang for not only
Thank you.
coming and inspiring. It's always a learning experience when I speak to people like you, Devang, and especially today was reaffirming my faith that hard work is something which really gets you. Don't be bogged down by your failures. And take it in a learning stride. And if you put your mind and heart to certain things, we can. So it's not even a question, and it's a very interesting thing. I was scrolling down the questions. The first 20 minutes, Devang, when you spoke, what you spoke, you were telling that you were kind of a very academically good student in school, you're top. Then some of the people here, I want you to end by saying something motivational and something realistically They think that because you're extremely smart, you've always been academically brilliant, probably you had good education, you were in good schools with great teachers. That is why you are where you are today. You currently work in Cisco, one of the most admired companies in the world. There is no company which is worth its salt who do not use Cisco services and products. So, what's your answer to this? That is it that you're generally smart and you could make it and get this 25 different offers, or what is it? So, just want you to end this note so that the people believe that it's not just being smart or just being at the right time, right place, being an army background is what helped you. While that definitely did, but what's the real thing?
Well, that's honestly is a tough question, but one thing I can be sure of. Was it the army background? Maybe yes, maybe no, because that actually inculcates the discipline that is required. That's one thing. And second thing, is it because I'm smart? Well, that depends on what you mean by smart. If you mean I'm smart, yeah, I'm good at problem solving, I'm smart. But if you mean only the academic marks make me smart, I think I would like to tend to disagree on it. Because I believe that marks can never decide where you will be in your life or where you are in your life, right? This will end at a certain place. School marks will end at the school, your college marks will end at this college, your post graduation marks will end at your post graduation. Your real life actually starts after the college, after you are done your education. That is when your real life starts for. And that is not where your marks come into the picture. What comes in the picture is how you see the problems. What is your vision to see the problems? Now, when I'm talking about the vision, how you interpret the problem, how good in your skill you are. Again, I'm not specific to any software engineering or anything. Any skill that you're good at, how good you use your craft to solve that problem. And I think that's what makes you smart. So those who think that I'm not good at studies, or those who think I'm not very good at communication skills, I see people getting furious. There was one candidate I was interviewing, and he was like, he was very good. He was very good in coding. He's like, but he was not able to communicate. So I okay, तुम हिंदी में बोलो. There's no issues. He was trying to, sir, ऐसे होता है, a little bit English, little bit Hindi. So तुम हिंदी में बोलो यार, मेरा कोई issue नहीं है. As long as you're able to write the code, you're able to explain. Why would I have any issue? I'm hiring you for your coding skills, not for your English skills, right? So I asked the candidate. He was so good. He was so fluent in Hindi. He had explained me so well. So don't you think that any of the barrier that you see कि मेरी इंग्लिश अच्छी नहीं है, मेरे मार्क्स अच्छे नहीं है, some other barriers है, मेरी फाइनेंशियल कंडीशन अच्छी नहीं है, मैं सोशल अच्छी नहीं, none of that matters. None of that matters. There will be a time where you will be actually thankful to all of the things that you think are actually your barriers. These are not your barriers. These are some of the things that will lift you up in your life, and a stage will come where you will look back and you will be really happy. Thank God मेरी life में problem थी. Thank God your problem thing. Otherwise, if you were given everything on a silver spoon, you would not have done anything. You would not be hungry for anything.
Thank you very, very much, Devang, for ending this note. It's all about your passion, your hard work, your commitment to do. And it is, many, we have hundreds of stories in Edyst where people come from tier two, tier three towns and colleges, and they're from non-computer science background, and they're from very, very humble backgrounds. Their family backgrounds are very, very humble. And it gives us great pride to see these people make it into product companies and have great careers. It's all about your hard work, your passion. If you have your mind set to it, you will always make it. With that, thank you very, very much for a very, very patient hearing and asking us a lot of questions. I hope we have been able to cover as much as we could in the time. In case we have not been, please write to team@edis.com for any queries. And thank you once again, Devan, for a lot of time you spend and sharing your experiences and motivating and inspiring the students. And we hope a lot of the people who are on the platform who would come and be a part of a community which is all about success, which is all about uh, dreaming big and making it. Thank you so much, and all of you
Sure.
people stay safe, and that's the most important thing. Thank you, Dev.
Sure. Thanks, Vasu.